Once you start modding multi-tools, it is quite difficult to stop, especially if you think there might be improvements left to be done. Now yesterday, I went ahead and installed a full-sized hex bit driver on the Leatherman Arc, and I really like this mod. I think it's a good one for me personally. But someone mentioned something that had me thinking, and I can't put it down now. This micro driver in the back gives me the ability to get access to those really small eyeglass screwdriver, Phillips and flathead bits. So do I actually need the precision driver on the other side? Not really. In fact, if I'm thinking and I'm honest with myself, I've only ever used this one time and it wasn't even for my own glasses. So I think we're gonna be switching this out for something, and I have an idea of what I wanna do. Let's go ahead and see what happens. If we take a look at the thickness of the micro driver, it's pretty clear that this is substantially thicker than the can opener, which is what I planned on reinstalling. So there's two things I could end up doing in order to accommodate this. The first one is take up the space with a spacer, which I do have access to a couple because I took apart a P4 in the past, and I still have that in pieces. Or the other option, and I think we're gonna try this, even though I don't think it's a good upgrade, we're gonna try this T-shank holder. So this is actually a little bit thinner than some of the other designs that are out there. And this one is actually gonna only function with either off-the-shelf T-shank saw blades, or it's going to work with the included diamond plate that it has. It has a little diamond file that comes with it as well. And it's not the highest quality thing. So it's mostly for testing purposes to see if this is something that let's say we were doing a free P4, right? They don't have a diamond file. And so this would be a good solution for those people who maybe don't need either the serrated blade or the straight blade, and they swap them out, something like that. So that's why we're gonna do this. Otherwise, I'd probably just keep the diamond file and the crosscut, because I love this file. This is a great file. Okay, so normally I would not do this, but since we're already going to swap them out, I figure we'd give it a shot and see how they function, because I've never installed the thing. I'm going to pretty much speed through this, and you can watch, maybe do a little voiceover, but in general, it's not that interesting to watch. Let's talk about it when it's done, and we'll go from there. Now right here, you're about to see my first mistake. I pushed the whole pivot all the way through, and I didn't need to because the precision driver is right in the middle, and if I hadn't pushed it all the way through, I would have been able to just remove some of the components. It would have been a lot faster than what you're seeing here. So realistically, this took me about 8 minutes to do, and that was with the mistake. So if you were to do this, it's absolutely doable. Just make sure you keep track of the small components. There is a small washer between the frame and the long tools of each tool. So make sure that you are keeping track of those little washers and don't lose them, because they are a very hard size to actually match. So just take your time like anything else. And yeah, this actually went really well. I'm really quite impressed with this T-shank holder. By far the most annoying part is getting the washer lined up with the pivot. Now I'm sure there is a better way to do it than I am displaying, but yeah, if you know a better way, let me know. In this case, it was a little bit fiddly, but eventually got it there, and then I had to take it apart because I realized that I had somehow popped out the lock. So as you will see here, it's not the end of the world. These are things that can be fixed. Like you can see right here, I've messed it up. But yeah, just take your time and make sure everything's lined up before you tighten everything down. It's definitely a comedy of errors. So you can really see the difference in dimension when you start tightening things down and just how much space there is to play with. So on this side, you see it's a lot closer together than it is over here. I didn't end up putting any spacer in order to accommodate this. I just kind of tightened it down and see what happened. So everything does deploy, everything is here. And the way you get out this T-shank is you actually pull out with the little nail right there. So it goes back to having a nail nick. So it's a little bit different than the other style. This isn't going to matter if you're the Leatherman Arc. I really think that the diamond file that you get with it is already much better, but there is something to be said for being able to take out the diamond file, right, and sharpen other tools. Now, I don't think you're gonna need to do that with the Magna Cut blade very often, if, well, very much at all. But what about things like the reamer? Maybe you ding up the reamer and you need it to be a little sharper. Or maybe the scissors have a little gouge in them and you need to remove that. Or maybe you need to make a last minute repair on one of the cutters because you've damaged the cutters and now they're like getting bound up. You can take the diamond file inside and actually get rid of those spots. Now I've done that exactly with older Leathermans that don't have replaceable cutters. This doesn't really happen that often with the replaceable ones, but I could see situations where maybe that makes sense, not necessarily for the Arc. However, if you have a free P4, does this mod work? I mean, yeah, it absolutely works. I'm actually surprised at just how thin this T-shank holder actually is. I mean, it is really, really thin, which means it will fit in a lot of different positions. I specifically got this one that didn't have the thumb ability to open because it could go on either the left or the right side depending on what tool you wanted to replace. If you wanted to replace, say, the saw blade with this, you could do that. If you wanted to replace the serrated blade on the free P4, you could do that. All in all, pretty cool. This tool set, as is, I think I may have downgraded it slightly by putting in this T-shank holder, but maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments. Why do you think that the T-shank holder would be better or worse for this particular setup? I think it's cool that you can do it. The same place that you get this is where you can get the bit holder. Just a reminder, I will leave a link down below. But yeah, I think it's interesting. I do agree that the can opener makes more sense, even though it's not the best can opener, just because the micro driver is now really obsoleted by this bit driver. Yeah, that's pretty much it for today. Just another quick mod of the Leatherman Arc. I probably will take this out, in fact, and I'm gonna rebuild that free P4 that I took apart way back when. And then maybe we'll make that like the best case scenario, just to see what happens and then compare it directly with the Leatherman Arc. Quick note, I did reinstall the Arc file. I just think it's a much better file option unless you're, like I said, working with the free P4. And you can see I've actually added the spacer right there. Everything looks good and we're good to go. As always, guys, thank you for your time and we'll talk again soon.